Welcome back to Cheyenne Life. This is Debbie. I am here outside in the garden again. And I've been kind of in the garden all day today. I did a video earlier today showing that I was thinning out all of my plants, such as my rutabagas and my carrots and my kohlrabi and my kale. And I went ahead and harvested my mustard greens, and I will be replanting some more mustard in here, probably a little bit thinner because it just came up so thick. And I encountered something while I was out here doing all of this thinning, and what I encountered was a tomato flea beetle. So it looks like that I have an explanation to what might be happening with the beets foliage and some little spots that are on my cucumber vines and my leaves, and that would be the culprit, is the tomato flea beetle. So not only have I moved from cabbage moths, which have been caught by the dragonfly, I have now moved on to tomato flea beetles. So I'm going to go ahead and give everybody another little shot of my garden. When I come outside and I first come out the door, right here is the front door, and I come outside and see all of the wonderful things in the garden, it reminds me of how much work that you put into a garden. And it's not only praying that your garden comes to fruition and that everything is good and you have a lot of harvest, a bounty of harvest, but you also have to be realistic that a lot of the pests and things like that are on you to have to figure out. And tomato flea beetles, that's actually a pretty easy one. They don't like dirty dishwater. So you put dirty dishwater in a spray bottle and you spray the leaves and spray them often. I'm out here at least 3 or 4 times a day anyway, if not all day, working in the garden. So I'll just make myself a little dirty dishwater bottle and come out here and spray the leaves as I go. So here we are with the carrots that are all now thinned out, have room to continue to make their nice big carrots. And I noticed that I'm going to have to harvest some radishes here probably in the next day or two. Take a look at that. There are some beautiful radish bulbs in there, and they're just here and there. And I did go in and replant, as you see, some younger ones in there that are coming on, but you can see all of those lovely radishes in there right now that are ready to harvest. And then we have our newer radishes that are sprouting today. As I had predicted, they would be up in about 3 days, and I was correct. This is 3rd day planting, and they are up and up in droves, so that is a great thing. This is going to be the cherry giant and the crimson giants. And we still have the parsley going to seed over here. It doesn't have any real place to go. But in these 2 pots over here, which I haven't really explained, I have some mandarin oranges as well as some apricots. And I noticed today, you see that little guy right there? That is an apricot that is coming up. So I look forward to being able to see that tree grow. Hopefully it will grow. Sometimes they will come up like that and die off. Just depends, but it's definitely an apricot. And the mandarins I'm still waiting on. The mandarins can take up to 3 months to germinate. And I didn't do the putting them in a Ziploc bag and all that stuff before just going ahead and putting them in dirt. I just went ahead and put them in the dirt. And I have had some real success on that because, as you know, my lemon tree, which I've shown several times in other videos, I still have my lemon tree, and it is getting some branches now. And that lemon tree I started from seed from a store-bought lemon 2 seasons ago, and it is now probably about 5 feet tall if I stretched it out. And I'm working on making it a dwarf-sized tree by just doing a whole lot of trimming and things on it. So it is looking great, and I'll show you that lemon tree in just a moment. But what I just wanted to show you right now is just how beautiful the garden is. It's basically at the edge of turning into a jungle when it becomes the unruly garden of just everything in it. And you can see just how big the cauliflower plants are. That is the large plants that you're seeing at the very front. They are easily about 2.5 feet tall, about the same as the broccoli that's over here. The broccoli is just getting enormous, the plants. And I am getting bitten by a mosquito right now. That's one of the drawbacks of being outside in the summertime, is we do have a lot of mosquitoes here, because I try to do a microclimate here with just making sure that I'm amending the soil and stuff like that. And you can do that. And then I have all of this Virginia creeper vine that goes along our fence all the way out to our gate. And I'll just show you the gate right now. So we have that out there, all of this Virginia creeper vine. And that's kind of what keeps us secluded in here with a microclimate, so to say, because it looks more like I'm in Tennessee right now if I'm looking at all of the green going on. Plus we've had nice rainy weather just about every evening. We had a few drops of rain today, but nothing serious. We had some thunder, but looked like it just blew over, and now we have nice blue pretty skies, as you can see. So yesterday we had a pretty good storm. We had some rain, and anyway, we have a little spot in our Virginia creeper foliage for some more sunflowers to grow, and I've got, I think, 5 in here right now. And I did go in and weed all around, and then we do have a couple of zinnias in here as well. I had planted a little 20-cent pack of zinnias in here, and I think only a few of them came up, and it looks like I'm only going to have 3 that actually come to bloom, but they'll be pretty anyway. Didn't really expect much out of this little strip of ground that is just on the outer edge of our walkway. So we've got that going on. And I did take out a lot of the, as you can see right here, a lot of the vines, so I can make way for a little strip through here of some more planting. And I wanted to show you that lavender rose that has now got so many blooms on it. And it's just a little mini rose with all these little lavender colored with a dark fuchsia edging, and I just thought that was so unique, just so pretty, and I got it for my daughter. But I've became kind of the one taking care of it. And it's got a few of the blooms are spent, ready to be pulled off. And that is one of the things about these roses, these little mini roses. Make sure you take those blooms off when they're done. And it actually prompts it to continue to bloom. As you see, there's more buds on there. And then this one is budding up again. This is the peach rose. You can see some of the color right there, and those that are ready to open. And it has some more buds on it. And then we have the red one. And I think it's getting a little bit too much water because I'm seeing some leaf curl on it. So I'll back off on watering that one so much, and I'm actually going to transplant it as well. It needs more root room and probably a little mulch around the top. And as you missed that, but there was a tomato flea beetle just jumped off of the roses, because they will also attack roses. And this is the first time I've had to deal with the tomato flea beetle here, but I had a lot of them back in East Tennessee, so I know how to handle those guys. And this tomato plant, surprisingly enough, is kind of in a no-till. This is actually no-till all the way through here, because I had to pull up a whole bunch of those Virginia creeper roots, and I'm still battling them because they keep coming back. That's the one thing about Virginia creeper that I don't like, is all of the roots, and it grows like a foot a day, constant growth on it. And as you can see, I had pulled all of that out yesterday, that's over there, and getting ready to put it on the pile, and already there's some creeping back in again. So that's one of the things I don't like. But anyway, this is a no-till right here. This is concrete underneath this little strip of dirt, except for where the rutabaga is, or sorry, the rhubarb. The rhubarb is in the only little spot that has free and clear dirt all the way down. Everything else is concrete or rock slab. So I have put several inches of mulch and compost and everything through this section, and soil, potting soil mixed it all in, and then the tomato actually sits on top of that rock or concrete, and it is doing fantastic because it just I have probably about a foot of compost and soil right at the base of the roots on this tomato plant, and it is blooming. It's getting ready to set some fruit down in there, so it's just looking beautiful. And then of course I have some more of my containers around there, just not just the roses. I have some coleus here that my daughter planted, and there are some zinnias in this as well, and they are sitting on top of the concrete or rock slab with just several inches of compost and soil mixed in. And then I don't really show this too often, but I have some watercress here in this little pot my daughter planted, and it is looking just absolutely gorgeous. Look at these plants. Nice, thick, beautiful, great for salads. And we used to eat these out. They just grow wild in the fields in East Tennessee. We would go out in the fields and just pull all kinds of the cress that we wanted. We called them creasy greens there. And cook them down and eat them just like you would any other mixed greens. And just loving my pots of flowers. I keep deadheading these. Every time that your petunias start to die off, you go in and pull those blooms, and you're not wanting to just pull the bloom. You go, like if you're wanting to pull this one, say this one was dead, you go in behind where the flower is all the way up to the stem and pinch it off once it has died back. So it prompts it to keep blooming, and you can get your petunias to bloom like this all throughout the summer and into the fall, as long as you've got warm temperatures. And it just is gorgeous with all those pastel colors and then the dark fuchsia mixed in. And then I've got my cocazelle in the rose garden area. This is where my roses are and my asparagus. Asparagus and roses are companion plants. They get along great. That's why I put all of my asparagus along the base of my roses here. And I'm just letting them go to fern now, because this is only the second season for the asparagus. I've mentioned that a couple of times in past videos. So next season should be the really good harvest. And I'm going to add some more roots in it next season as well. So we will have an even bigger patch, but then I'll have to wait on those until the third year in before I get a good harvest on those. So, and this is that peach rose that I kept telling you about that I wanted to let you see. It's a really deep, vibrant peach color. Just absolutely gorgeous. And I've got another bud on there. And like I said, it's more of a long stem variety. As you can see, has those long stems than the other roses that I had. These were the red ones. They've already bloomed and gone. It'll bloom again when the fall comes around. It always does. But it won't be as heavy a blooms. And then this is the pink one that turns white. And I think I still have some buds on this one. Yep, there's a couple more buds there. And it'll continue to bloom. This one actually blooms pretty much all season long once it starts. So it'll bloom all the way into the fall. And I had mentioned that I had planted my onions in this section too. The onions still are not doing anything. I don't see any of the swelling on the bulbs or anything like that. So I just think that this was a bad area. They're supposed to be companion plants, onions and roses, but I think that the mulching in here, I put a different kind of mulch in, is just too thick and too heavy, and it might have kept them from growing, or it just might have been bad onion sets this year. Like I said, I've had a couple of seasons of onion sets that have come from Menards. They have not been good. It's done this now twice. Last year and this year, I did not have good onions. So there you go. I guess I'll be buying onions at the farmer's market or wherever I can get them. And everything else in the main garden looking absolutely gorgeous. All the red curry squash just growing like crazy. All the tomatoes. I have tomatoes hanging now in masses all throughout the super sauce tomatoes. The tomatillos do have tomatillos on them. They're still pretty small, but you can see their little husks. There's one down in there. And they'll come on and make some really nice tomatillos as long as the Warmer weather holds out. We're supposed to be in the 90s, I think, tomorrow, and 80s for the rest of the week. 80s next week, maybe 90 or so, one or two of those times. But just, this is the amazing growth, and I just cannot say enough about this garden, about how it has bounced back from the hailstorm. Everything just looking beautiful. And we're going to go into a part 2 of this. I'm just going to keep going with it. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see notices on new videos. Then we'll go into the part 2.